may put you in one of those. Or even worse. Too much? That's the point. Get real about your risks and do something about it. Talk to your healthcare provider about ways to lower your risk of stroke, heart attack, or death. Learn more at GetRealAboutDiabetes.com.
This is Remington. He's a member of the family for sure. We always fed him kibble. It just seemed like the thing to do. But he was getting picky, and we started noticing some allergy symptoms. We heard about the farmer's dog, and it was a complete transformation. His allergies were going away, and he just had amazing energy. It's a no-brainer that Remington should have the best, nutritious, and delicious food possible. I'm investing in my dog's health and happiness.
Get started at longlivedogs.com.
Do you ever wish that you had spoken up sooner?
I hope that President Trump is coming around.
Is there still zero communication between this administration and North Korea? What do you say to people who are worried you'll tip the elections?
There is a lot that goes into becoming a licensed therapist.
2 years of graduate school followed by 2 years of clinical training.
You literally have to do 3,000 hours plus of interactions with clients. It is quite a journey.
Doctors are like you. Too much fast food, not enough exercise. And we don't have time for 5 servings of fruit and vegetables a day. That's why I take Field of Greens. Each fruit and vegetable supports my heart, lungs, kidneys, and metabolism for energy and weight loss. And at your next checkup, Field of Greens promises your doctor will notice your improved health or your money back.
Get 15% off and free rush shipping at fieldofgreens.com. Product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Money back terms and conditions apply.
See It Loud, the history of black television, Sundays at 9 on CNN.
The new Trump charges in the documents case is not the only big development tonight. His lawyers today meeting with Jack Smith, hoping to avoid or at least delay another criminal indictment. Now, this one is over Trump's efforts to overturn the election ahead of January 6th. The meeting ended without them getting any new guidance, and I'm back now with our panel. Gene, it's not entirely surprising that they requested this meeting, that they were granted it at the 11th hour, but is Jack Smith really all that interested in what Trump's lawyers have to say?
Well, when I was at the Department of Justice, when attorneys came in to do a meeting, I was always interested in what they said, only because I was probably going to indict them, and they were giving me information on what the defense will be. So Jack Smith was interested in what they had to say. Did it change his mind? Probably not.
And Sarah, one of the big arguments that we've learned in our reporting that they made was that this would be tumultuous for the country, and of course it would. But I think the whole crux of the January 6th case really comes down to how tumultuous the accusations itself are, that Trump tried to subvert a free and fair election. So how do you think that plays out on balance?
It's really ironic to hear them say that him being indicted over this would be tumultuous when I thought that January 6th was tumultuous. I thought that Trump denying the results of a free and fair election and refusing to this day is something horrible for our nation's democracy. And what's really sad is that he's convinced his supporters that this is the case. Obviously not all of his supporters, but a large swath of them believe this, and they believe that this was a fraudulent election when there's been no evidence of that. He has even tried to pursue this in court and failed time and time again. And so I think that if they have the evidence to prove that there was criminality for him trying to overturn the election and criminality with January 6th and the planning of that, then he deserves to be held accountable.
Politically, Sophia, January 6th is something that a lot of Republicans on the Hill would love to forget. And some of them actually are trying to sort of completely rewrite that history. But no matter what, if there are charges that stem from this country is going to relive all of the events leading up to it.
Couple things. One, 147 members of Congress, Republicans, voted not to certify that election after the fact, right?
Yeah.
And that's a stunning thing right there. Then it goes back to something Sarah said, which is to this day, Donald J. Trump will not acknowledge that he lost the 2020 election. So from my standpoint, as a former investigative counsel attorney, et cetera, Jack Smith really has no choice based on the evidence that we've all seen but to go forward and indict. Because if he doesn't, tumultuous isn't even the right word to what happens to this country and this democratic republic that we have, that we all love, that we'd like to see stand another 250 years. This moment is going to be written about 100 years from now. It really will be. We won't be here, but your daughter will be here. She'll be old, but she'll be here. And their generation will look at us and say, what were they thinking that they let this go on and they didn't stop this man? It gets back to all the worst analogies of the worst figures in history that, I won't name because I don't want to be incendiary, but at the end of the day, Trump is a pretty dark figure and history's going to bear that out.
This is certainly history playing itself out. And if you're Jack Smith, he's writing a lot of chapters of this history book. What we saw with the superseding indictment in the Mar-a-Lago case, does that give you a hint as to his tactics as a prosecutor, that he might put an indictment on the table in the coming days or weeks, and that might not be the end of the story for Trump or for his associates?
Jack Smith was head of the Public Integrity Unit in the Department of Justice. That was a unit that looked at corruption among public officials. And from what I know, he is methodical, he's incredibly bright, he's tenacious, he's organized, and he's fearless. And if this indictment is returned either next week or the week after, I don't think it'll be this week, it is going to be, no pun intended, War and Peace. It's going to be 100 pages long. It's going to be a novel. I had a trial February, March of this year. I represented a young oath keeper who was 21 years old. And I can tell you the evidence that was presented at my trial for my client went all the way up to Donald Trump. And if it is indicted, the one thing that could save him is that they transfer the case out of the District of Columbia. That's the only way he will avoid a conviction.
Very interesting. Jane, Sophia, and Sarah, all of you, thank you very much. And coming up next for us, former congressman and former presidential candidate Tim Ryan joins me live on the new charges against Donald Trump. Plus, we will talk about another questionable moment today involving an older lawmaker, Senator Dianne Feinstein, confused during a vote. We'll discuss that next.
I'm currently out of the office, focusing on a little blue sky thinking. I'll be taking meetings with family and friends, and checking voicemail as my activities permit. I'll connect with you after reconnecting with me. Get 1.9% APR for 36 months plus $1,500 purchase allowance on a 2023 XT5 and XT6 when you finance through Cadillac Financial.
For your weekend, but continued rain all day. You can't count on the weather, but you can count on Dish and our reliability guarantee. Should you ever lose signal, contact us and we'll credit back your account.
Hey Dylan, I want your dad to go out and help you practice your sliding.
Yeah. I'll be outside.
You're a good dad.
The reliability guarantee, only from Dish. Tuned into you.
A wide leaf filter? It's well designed, efficient. I appreciate that.
Leaf Filter's technology keeps debris out of your gutters for good. Guaranteed.
What more could you ask for?
Call 833-LEAF FILTER today or visit leaffilter.com.
Try Tide Power Pods with 85% more Tide in every pod.